In this lesson, re tlo focus on solving quadratic inequalities. Re tlo solve inequality re shumisha a graph method. Re lebelle this problem. 2x squared plus 5x is less or equals to 3. Just like the quadratic equations, re tseba hore quadratic re tseba ka hore is in the standard form of ax squared plus bx plus c. So ge o ka lebelela this problem ga in the standard form. So the first thing, re tlo nyaka go make sure ya hore one side e ba 0 so that it can be in the standard form of ax squared plus bx plus c. So it means ke tlo tšea this positive 3 ka isha to the other side and then ya change a sign. So it means ke tlo ba le 2x squared plus 5x minus 3 less or equals to 0. So now ka kgona bona hore this expression is in the standard form sa ax squared plus bx plus c. So from there re tlo factorize. If you don't remember how to factorize, o ka shumisha quadratic formula and then wa find the factors. So more globally 2x minus 1 and then more globally x plus 3. And then our next step we are going to find the critical values. So we find the critical values. We will solve this expression. Arnally 2x minus 1 and then I equate to 0. So from there get 2x and then got transpose a negative 1 to the other side. And then from there I divide both sides got 2. So it means x is equals to half. And then I did the same thing got this one, which is x plus 3. So regular x plus 3 is equals to 0. And then from there I solve for x. Regular x is equals to negative 3. So it means our critical value is x is equals to minus 3 and then x is equals to half. So these steps are very important. In the exam, these steps are critical values. And then from there, we shumisha a graph method to find the solution. More than 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. Just like you sketch the parabola, re direct the coefficient ya x squared. Ge lo re this coefficient is positive, re tseba hore our graph it will be concave up. So it means ge re sketch a graph ya rena yo ba something like this one. And then from there re tlo lebelela this inequality sign. Ge o ka lebelela this inequality it is less or equals to 0. So if it's less or equals to 0, re la hore ra tseba hore re bolela ka region e le hore e ka fase ga x-axis. And then ge re bolela ka greater or equals to 0, re bolela ka region e le hore is above the x-axis, re la hore e tla ba ka mo godimo. So now re ke insert our critical values. Re na le x is equals to minus 3 and then ra ba le x is equals to half. More na le minus 3 is like x-intercept and then more na le half. Remember on the left hand side re na le the negatives and then on the right hand side re na le the positive. So that is why more negative 3 is on the left hand side and then half is on the right hand side. So from there, because this is less or equal to 0, re nyaka mo ile hore graph ya rena e ka fase ga x-axis. And then o ka kgona bona hore graph ya rena e ka fase ga x-axis on this part. So it means solution ya rena e between negative 3 and half is in this portion. ge be le gore inequality ya rena e re greater or equals to 0, be re tlo focusa on this region e le gore is above the x-axis. So it means our solution for this problem re la gore ke tlo re -3 is less or equals to x, and then x is less or equals to half. This means solution ya rena e mo between -3 and half. So that is why ke re -3 is less or equals to x, and then x is less or equals to half. So because inequality ya rena it was greater, because it was less or equal, e rela gore le nna ke tlo šomiša this inequality. But ge le gore the solution it was only less, le nna be ke tla šomiša only less here. Another way this problem o ka engwala in this way, o šomiša interval notation, where x is an element of, and then where -3, and then where half. The reason re šomiša this bracket ke ka baka la this inequality. Ge be lo re šomiša this inequality or this inequality, e rela gore bracket ya rena e be tla re x is an element of, ya ba the excluded bracket. This bracket re bitša gore ke included, so it means re include these numbers. So this is our answer anyway. A re lebelele the next problem, and then this one re 2x squared minus 7x minus 4 is greater or equals to 0. Ge o ka lebelela this expression already is in the standard forms ax squared plus bx plus c, because o ka kgona go lemoga gore one side ke 0 already. So re la gore our first step e tlo ba go factorize. So ge re factorize this one, re tlo ba le 2x plus 1, and then ra ba le x minus 4. Remember o ka šomiša quadratic formula to find the factors. And then our next step from here it will find the critical values. So here find the critical values are 2x plus 1 equals to 0, and then resolve for x. Rela or globally 2x is equals to -1, and then from there I divide up both sides by 2. So rela or x equals to -half. And then for the other one, x minus 4 equals to 0. And then from there, solve for x. X is equals to 4. So our critical values x is equals to -half, and then x is equals to 4. And then from there, I will draw our graph. The coefficient ya x squared. So ka kgona bona gore coefficient ya x squared ke positive. So re la gore graph ya rena e tlo ba concave up. And then from there ra ngwala our critical values. So more na le -half because it's on the left hand side, and then moraba le +4. So from there re tseba gore graph ya rena more is above the x-axis, and then on this region re la gore e below the x-axis. So now a re lebelele gore inequality ya rena e reng. It says greater or equals to 0. So if it's greater or equals to 0, it's positive. Re nyaka mo e le gore graph ya rena is above the x-axis, mo e le gore e positive. So ka kgona bona gore based on these critical values, graph ya rena is above the x-axis from -half, and then going where to the left, because going to the left, graph ya rena is above the x-axis. Remember gore this arrow in order our graph ya gago e sa tswela pele ya godimo forever and ever. So that is why going to the right and then also going to the left a re tsebe re yo fela ko kae. So ge re lo ngwala this solution a re tlo re x is less or equals to negative half. Ge o ka lebelela this inequality e pointer to the left. This is because our solution is negative half and then going where? To the left. Ke mo le graph ya rena is above the x-axis. And then as for this one ya positive 4, o ka kgona bona gore e ba above the x-axis from this positive 4 going where? To the right. Ge ya to the right. So more or x is greater or equals to 4. So ka kgona bona gore is important gore kwešiše gore this inequality e corresponda le gore graph ya rena e ba positive going to the left and then this one going to the right. So that is why even this inequality e pointer to the right. So this is our solution. Ge o nyaka go engwala o šomiša interval notation o tlo re negative infinity and then wa re negative half and then were included. This represents on a solution here negative half going to the left and then until where. Remember going to the left ke negative infinity. So that is why here negative half until negative infinity. And then remember negative infinity always shumisha excluded bracket. But more shumisha included bracket because of this inequality. It will greater or equal. And then as for this 4, union is or and then worry 4 until positive infinity. Our solution is from positive 4 going to the right, because going to the right is positive infinity. So this is our solution. It's all up to you shumisha interval notation or shumisha the inequality. So this is our answer anyway. And then what about this one? 4x minus 2x squared is less than 0. Ge o ka lebelela this quadratic o ka kgona go lemoga gore re na le only 2 terms. So it means for this quadratic e rela gore c ya rena ke 0. So ge re na le this problem o ka kgona bona gore it becomes easier ge o ka ntšha x as a common factor, or ge o rata o ka e beya in the standard form wa re minus 2x squared and then wa re plus 4x and then wa re less than 0, and then from there wa ntšha x as a common factor. So nna ke tlo e solver the way e le ka gona ka ntšha x as a common factor. Ke tlo ntšha x as a common factor ka ba le x, and then from there ka šala ka 4 and then minus 2x less than 0. So from there nka find a critical values because ke factorize this expression. Remember nka se 2 brackets because expression ya ka ga in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. Actually our c is 0. It's just that now we're only 2 terms. So I can easily take x as a common factor and then solve this inequality. So from there I will find out the critical values. I will find out the critical values. This x right equator to 0. So get x is equals to 0. So it means I solve because it's already solved in this way. So our critical value here x is equals to 0. And then now we are on this one. Our 4 minus 2x is equals to 0. And then from there, because Kenya got solver for x, ngaja minus 2x kaisha to the other side. And then kabali 4 is equals to 2x. And then from there, ka divide both sides ka 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. So our critical values ki x is equals to 0 and then x is equals to 2. And then from here, I draw a graph here and then the coefficient of x squared. ge o ka lebelela coefficient ya rena ya x squared o ka kgona go lemoga gore ke negative because it's negative 2x squared. So ge e le gore coefficient ya rena it's negative re la gore graph ya rena yo ba concave down, so re la gore our graph it will be something like this one. And then from there ro insert our critical values, so mo ke tlo bea 0 and then mo ka bea 2. So remember gore 0 and 2, 0 is on the left hand side and then 2 yaba on the right hand side, because ge o na le Cartesian plane 0 is here and then 2 is here, so o ka kgona bona gore 0 is on the left and then 2 is on the right. And then from there ro lebelela this inequality, o ka kgona bona gore this inequality e re less, and then ra tseba gore less ke mo e le gore graph ya rena e below the x-axis, so graph ya rena e ba below the x-axis here, ke mo e le gore e ba ka fase ga x-axis, and then e ba above the x-axis on this part. But this one is not important because rena re nyaka mo e le gore graph ya rena e below the x-axis based on this inequality. So re la gore our solution yo ba 0 going to the left, because going to the left ke mo e le gore graph ya rena e ka fase ga x-axis, so re la gore our solution it will be x is less than 0 and then or, because mo ka kgona bona gore e re 2 and then e ba going to the right ke mo e le gore graph ya rena e below the x-axis, so ke tlo or x is greater than 2. So it's greater because re kwane gore arrow ya rena e corresponda le inequality, graph ya rena e ba below the x-axis going to the right and then also going to the left. That is why this inequality pointer to the left and then this one a pointer to the right. Ge o šomiša interval notation re la gore o tla ba le x is an element of, and then wa ba le negative infinity and then there 0 and then union and then war 2 and then there positive infinity. O ka kgona go lemoga gore now ke šomišitše this inequality ya less. This is because le rena ba re file the inequality ya less, and then again o ka kgona go bona gore mo on 0 ke beile this inequality and then the same here mo go 2 ka bea this inequality ya less, which is the excluded. And then ra tseba gore as always infinity always e tshwara inequality, I mean e tshwara bracket ya excluded. So this is our solution anyway. And then what about this one? Ge o ka lebelela this one o ka kgona go bona gore already one side ke 0, so re la gore this expression is in the standard form sa ax squared plus bx plus c. But lemoga something, o ka kgona go bona gore the coefficient ya x squared ke negative, so to make things very easy nka thoma pele ka divider both sides ka -1. Ge ke divider both sides ka -1 re la gore ke tlo ba le x squared minus 3x minus 18, and then because this is inequality and then o divide ka negative sign re la gore o tlo reverse inequality ya gago, and then ge o reverse this inequality re la gore o tlo ba le greater, so re la gore now this is our new expression. So from there re ka thoma re factorize, so re la gore o tlo ba le so from there re tlo find the critical values. So ge re find the critical values o ka kgona go bona gore x minus 6 is equals to 0, re la gore x ke 6, so re la gore x ke 6, and then s for the other one x plus 3 is equals to 0, so re la gore x is equals to -3, So re la gore our critical values tša rena ke +6 and then -3. And then from there re tlo draw a graph. Ge ke ya draw a graph ko šomiša this expression, the new one, but gwa kgonega gore o šomiše le this one. So let's see ge re šomiša this one yo ba bjang. Because our coefficient here ya x squared ke positive, e rela gore graph ya rena yo ba concave up, e rela gore yo lebelela godimo. And then our critical values tša rena ke -3, and then our critical values tša rena ke -3 and then a +6. So ro lebelela mo ile gore graph ya rena is greater than 0, mo ile gore is above the x-axis. Remember gore ke šomiša this expression ka go divider -1. So graph ya rena e ba above the x-axis on this part, ke mo ile gore graph ya rena e ka godimo ga x-axis, and then mo e ka fase ga x-axis. So re la gore solving our inequality ke tlo re x is less than -3 or x is greater than 6. Remember gore re nyaka mo ile gore graph ya rena is above the x-axis, e rela gore ke mo go -3 going to the left, and then as for this one from +6 and then going to the right. So this is our solution. But now let's check ge ile gore wena o bo decide gore o šomiša this one. Ge ile gore wena you were using this one, re la gore because your coefficient ke negative, re la gore graph ya gago e be tlo ba concave down, re la gore e be tlo ba something like this one, and then mo wa ba le -3 and then mo wa ba le +6. So ro lebelela mo ile gore graph ya rena is less than 0, it means mo ile gore e ka fase ga x-axis. So graph ya rena e ka fase ga x-axis from here, and then also from here, and then going to the right. So ka kgona bona gore re tlo kry the same answer, e rela gore re tlo re x is less than -3, because graph ya rena e ka fase ga x-axis from -3 going to the left, and then ya ba again below the x-axis from +6 going to the right. So or x is greater than 6, so re kry-ile the same answer. But be careful ge ile gore o šomiša the one wa go divide ka yona, re la gore o tlo tshwanela gore o draw a graph ya gago based on this coefficient, and then o lebeletše le this inequality. So this is our answer anyway. And then let's see this one, x minus 4 x plus 2 is less than 0. Ge o ka lebelela this expression already, it's already factorized, because ka kgona bona re na le 2 brackets. Ge o ka rotha multiplied brackets e tlo bošetša morago, and then at some point o tlo boya gape at this step. So this problem is quadratic, and then it's already factorized. So re la gore from here re tlo find only the critical values, and then ge re find the critical values ka kgona bona gore x is equals to 4 or x is equals to -2, because o tlo re x minus 4 is equals to 0, and then we solve for x, and then what x plus 2 is equals to 0, and then we solve for x. So these are our critical values, and then now re tlo draw a graph. Gore kgona draw a graph, remember this is the same as re multiply the brackets re la gore x times x e re fa x squared. What is important ko re kgone go tseba the leading coefficient, so ka kgone bona gore the coefficient ya rena already here ke +1, so that is why ke re you can multiply out so that o kgone go bona gore coefficient ya x squared ke bokae. So coefficient ya x squared ke positive, so re la gore ge re ya draw ya graph ya rena e ya go ba concave up, and then re na le -2 and then +4. So ro lebelela mo ile gore graph ya rena e ka fase ga x axis because e re less than 0, re la gore ro lebelela here. So ka kgone bona gore value ya rena ya x e between -2 and 4, re la gore ke tla re -2 is less than x and then x is less than 4. Remember gore ge e le in this way bano re la gore x ya gago is greater than -2, because ge ba e re -2 e ka fase ga x bano re la gore x e ka godimo ga -2, so o ka kgona bona gore x ya rena is greater than -2, e re la gore from here and then going to the right, and then as for this one is 4 going to the left. That is why x is less than 4, and then this one -2 is less than x. It's on the x is greater than -2 or x is less than 4. This is the same thing, remember, because we're going to x ya rena e ka fase ga x axis from -2 going to the right, and then from 4 going to the left. So this is our solution. And then ge o nyaka go engwala on an interval notation wa tseba gore x is an element of -2 and 4. So this is our answer. And then this one x minus 1, 4 minus x is greater or equals to 0. Even this one is already factorized, so the first step are to find the critical values. So for this one, remember it's x minus 1 is equals to 0, and then x is equals to 1, and then as for this one, 4 minus x is equals to 0, and then resolve for x. Minus x kaisha to the other side ya positive. So our critical values x is equals to 4 and then x is equals to 1. So now re nyaka go tseba gore graph ya rena yo ba concave up or concave down. Remember gore r director ke the coefficient ya x squared, so re la gore ke tlo tshwanela gore ke multiply the brackets or kgone bona coefficient ya x squared. So ke na le x minus 1 and then ke na le 4 minus x, so x times 4 e re fa 4x, and then x times minus x e re fa minus x squared. Remember what is important ke coefficient ya x squared, so that is why ke multiplier until ke ba le something squared. So coefficient ya ka kgone bona gore ke negative, so because the coefficient is negative re la gore ke tlo ba le concave down, so re la gore go ba something like, and then ke na le +1 and then ka ba le +4. So from there ke nyaka mo ile gore graph ya rena e ka godimo ga x axis, so ka kgone bona gore graph ya rena e ka godimo ga x axis on this region. So e re la gore our solution is between 1 and 4 ke mo ile gore graph ya rena e ka godimo ga x axis, so re la gore ke tla re 1 is less or equals to x, and then ka re x is less or equals to 4. So this is our solution. Remember gore ke shumisha this inequality because le nna ba mfile this inequality. But what is important go lemoga gore your solution it's only between 1 and 4. Graph ya rena ka godimo ga x-axis mo magareng ga 1 le 4. So that is why it's between 1 and 4. So 1 is less or equals to x, and then x is less or equals to 4. So this is our solution. And then remember gore ga o nyaka go shumisha interval notation o tla re x is an element of, and then wa shumisha the included bracket because of this inequality, and then war 1 and then war 4. So it means solution ya rena is from 1 until 4. So this is our answer anyway. And then re lebelle this one. And this one re x squared is greater than 3, open the bracket, x plus 6. So this one is not factorized, and then it's not in the standard form. So right now the first thing re multiply out the bracket. So re la re na le x squared, and then gore 3 times x, and then remember more na le greater than, and then go le positive 3x, and then 3 times positive 6, and then yamfa positive 18. So from there ke tlo try wa be in the standard form. Ke nyaka gore one side e be 0, re la re go ba le x squared minus 3x, and then 18 ya change a sign le yona ya ba minus 18, and then a greater than 0 because everything re tlisitše on the left hand side. So from there we can factorize. O ka kgona bona gore this problem is similar to one of the problem ra we dira above. So mo ro ba le x, and then x minus, and then plus, and then ra ba le 6 and 3. So from there re ka find the critical values tša rena. Our critical values, if you remember, because this problem is only the other one above. So our critical values are only x is equals to 6, and then or x is equals to minus 3. And then from there ra lebelela gore what is the leading coefficient. Ka kgona bona gore the leading coefficient ke positive. So because ke positive re la gore graph ya rena e ya ba concave up. And then re na le positive 6 and negative 3. So more na le negative 3, and then more na le positive 6. So ge re lebelela inequality ya rena e re botša gore ke greater, e re la gore graph ya rena re nyaka mo ile gore is above the x-axis. So o ka kgona lemoga gore graph ya rena is above the x-axis from this negative 3 going to the left, and then from positive 6 going to the right. So re la gore our solution e tla ba x is less than minus 3, or x is greater than 6. So this is our solution using the inequality. O ka kgona bona gore always is important gore ge o na le bracket o try gore o multiply out the bracket ge o na le something like this one, because this one ga e factorized just like the previous one ge o na le this step. So as for this one, it's compulsory gore o try to multiply out a bracket. So this is our solution anyway. This one re determine the sum of the integers of the solution. Before re tlo answer this part ya determine the sum of the integers of this solution, let's first find the solution ya this inequality. And then more na le x plus 3, and then rabale x minus 2. And then now let's find the critical values. X is equals to negative 3, or x equal to 2. So these are the critical values, and then from there coefficient ya x squared ke positive, re la gore re tlo ba le this shape concave up, and then the critical values, it's -3 and +2. So this is -3 and then this is +2. From there inequality ya rena e re less or equal to 0, and then less or equal to 0, it's below the x-axis. So e re la gore this is our solution. And then now ge re ngwala the solution re tla re -3 is less or equal to x, and then x is less or equal to 2. So this is our solution. So now let's answer this part. Determine the sum of the integers of the solution. Remember the sum in orela re add, and then the integers are no bolela ka the positive and the negative numbers, but not the decimals. So solution ya rena e re file gore di values tša rena di between -3 and 2, actually from -3 to 2. So ro lebelela di integers tše le gore di from -3 to +2. re tseba gore mo after, before -3 re la gore you will be having -2, -1, 0, 1 to 2. These are the integers tše le gore di between -3 and 2. So question e re determine the sum, e no re la gore ro adda these numbers because e re the sum from -3 to +2. So e re la gore answering this question ya the sum of the integers you ba -3 and then plus -2 plus -1 plus 0 and then plus 1 and then plus 2. Because of this inequality ya less or equal, eno re la gore re include le -3 and 2. So that is why re include le -3 and also +2. But ge be le gore this inequality ke less or greater, re la gore our solution e be tla ba between -3 and 2, and then ra se include this -3 and 2. Re be re tla lebelela only the numbers tše le gore di between because of this inequality. Remember gore this inequality and this one di no re la gore excluded, re exclude these values, but this one and this one e re la gore included, so re include le these values. So now you can press the calculator ya this solution, and then it will fa gore ke -3. So this is our answer. The sum of the integers of this solution is -3. So that's it for this problem. This one e re solve for x, and then mo ba re file the inequality. So re tlo solve for x based on this inequality, and then the next part e re determine the sum of all integers satisfying f at x less than 0. So let's first focus on this one, your solver for x. Re tlo factorize, and then our factors re tlo ba le 2x minus 3, and then re ba le x plus 2. So from there we'll find the critical values. Finding the critical values re la gore x e lekana le 3/2, or x equal to -2. And then from there o lebelela coefficient ya x squared. So coefficient ya x squared ke positive, re la gore our graph ro ba le something like, and then this is -2, and then this is 3/2. And then now inequality ya rena e re greater or equal to 0. So re tseba gore greater or equal ke above the x-axis, so re la gore e over here. So re la gore re tlo re x is less or equal to -2, and then x it's greater or equal to 3/2. So more solve x based on this inequality. So now I lebelle our last part. Determine the sum of all integers satisfying f at x is less or equal to 0. Re tseba gore if f at x is less or equal to 0, e rela gore re bolela ka below the x-axis. And then now re nyaka the integers tše le gore di over on this part. So mo re tseba gore before -2 ro ba le -1, and then there is 0, and then there 1, and then remember after 1 more na le 3/2, and then re ka se ngwale other numbers because re nyaka between -2 and 3/2. But because mo re nyaka the integers, re la gore re ka se include 3/2 because 3/2 ga se integer. Integers cannot be decimals. Remember 3/2 is a decimal. So rena ro lebelela these values -1, 0 and 1, but re tlo include le -2 because -2 is an integer. And then because of this sign, that is why re include le -2, a greater or equal. But if it will only less or greater, we tla focus fela on these numbers -1, 0 and 1. So in this case re tlo include -2 and then -1, 0 and 1, but not 3/2. So re la gore finding the sum, re tlo re -2 plus -1 plus 0 and then plus 1, and then if you press this calculator it will -2. So this is our answer. Our answer this part, yeah, the sum of integers, yeah, f at x is less or equal to 0. So ka kgona bona gore this one a bit different from the previous, because more na le two things. Re solve for x based on this inequality, and then the last part re nyaka mo e le gore f at x is less than 0, and then re tseba gore f at x less than 0 is below the x-axis, and then re nyaka the integers tše le gore di on this part, yeah, below. So this is our answer anyway, and that's it for this tutorial.